Hey beauty friends, welcome to class today. This is a Beadalon class for the Michaels Community Classroom. And today we are going to be making this pendant. I hope everybody can see it as it looks on. It's a very pretty, very elegant pendant that it involves some bead weaving. But sometimes when you think of bead weaving, you think of that traditionally with seed beads. But today we're going to be doing bead weaving with gemstones. It's deceptively easy, which is my favorite kind of project. Keep in mind that all of the class today is of course being recorded, and you can rewatch it in about 24 to 48 hours over on the Michaels YouTube channel. And then as always, I'm going to say it at the top of the class. I'm going to repeat it again at the end of the class. If you make this project, if you make a variation of this project, please post it on your socials and make sure that you do a hashtag for Beadalon, because I love seeing what you make. From my classes, inspired by my classes, but just in general, if you're using any Beadalon products, please let us know. And then also, of course, use the hashtag make it with Michaels. And also, I think they're doing hashtag Michaels Community Classroom. Don't quote me on that. Raina can go ahead and put all of the hashtags that we need over in the chat. So I am Meredith Roddy. I work for a company called Beadalon and Artistic Wire. Many of our products are in Michaels, and I love talking about beading. I love making jewelry, and I love teaching people at all different skill levels how to get started or how to continue on their jewelry making journey. And as you know, if you have taken classes with me before, around this time of day, I start losing my words, I start forgetting things, but we are going to have a good time, and we are going to learn. We're going to learn a lot. And I always like to throw in lots of tips and tricks and ways of doing something a little bit differently, right? We're doing a project today, we're making this pendant, but we'll also talk about substitutions, different ways of doing things, different materials to use, and some of the pros and the cons of each of those things. Now, Raina mentioned that you can turn your chat off, but I would like for you to keep your chat on and let me know if there are any questions that you have, if there's anything that I glossed over a little too quickly, and then you need a little bit of clarification on. Additionally, to me, being able to see the chat go by, Yvette from Beadalon will be answering any questions that you have. So a nice, fun, interactive class today. Once again, we are making this pendant, and I think that we can go ahead and flip that camera over so I can show a nice close-up view of what we're making today. So this is a close-up view of a different colorway. So right out of the gate, we have options, right? So this is the one that was featured in the photo, and I'm going to talk about the beads that I used to make this one. But you can see just by substituting some other colors and some other types of gemstones, you can really achieve a much different effect. So keeping in mind also that the class today will be for this part of the pendant. I'm hoping if we have a little extra time at the end, we're going to do this really fun kind of extra distorted square bail or pendant bail. I'm also going to talk about how to do this much more simply. If looking at something like this kind of makes your head explode, it's actually, again, deceptively easy, which is my favorite kind of beading. So for our project today, we're actually going to need a lot of supplies. Some projects don't take very many different supplies or different things that it requires, but this one is one that we need a lot of different things. So I'm going to go over all of them from the get-go. So first things first, we're actually going to be using 7-strand 0.018 satin gold wire to do our bead weaving. So a lot of what I'm going to be saying today is kind of counterintuitive, right? We're weaving with wire, we're weaving with gemstones. Yes, all of these things are true. And I'm using the satin gold and the 018 because, and you can see I've used a lot of my satin gold already, I like the way that this wire is going to complement the beads, because you can see the wire here in this design and it becomes part of the design, right? If you know me and you know Beadalon, you know that we manufacture the wire in our factory in Crooksville, Pennsylvania. And so we like to highlight and showcase the wire because we are all about bringing the wire to the forefront of the design. So we are also going to need 3 different sizes of gemstone beads. We'll need 8 millimeters, we'll need 6 millimeters, and we'll need 4 millimeters. Now, helpfully, these strands from, from the semi-precious beads line on Bead Gallery have all of the sizes that you need. Let's see, this one is, I'm trying to read it through my phone. Impression Jasper. So this is Impression Jasper stone beads, and it comes with all of the sizes that we're going to need today. One is missing because I've already cut that off. That's the 6 millimeter. And then it also has these really beautiful rectangle beads that you can see right here that I used for this memory wire bracelet. So I have gone through a lot of these. I think this is maybe my 4th one, just because these are my colors. I love them so much. So all of the different sizes that you need are going to be on that one bunch of beads. However, I did a little cheat sheet over here for the different sizes of beads that we need. You only need 11 of each. This is my messy handwriting cheat sheet over here on the side. So this is a great pendant project to make with some leftovers from other projects, right? So if you were in my class where we did this X's and O's bracelet, we used that same strand. So there are beads left over from making this bracelet on those strands, and they are the perfect beads to use for the project that we're doing today. Okay, so I mentioned we're going to need 11 each of the 8, 6, and 4 millimeter rounds. We are also going to need some size 11 seed beads. These are my size 11 seed beads from, of course, my friends at John Bead. This color is gold metallic, and you only need 11 of those, right? So I definitely could pick up size 11 seed beads from the floor of my studio, from different crevices on my workstation. So not a whole lot of beads coming from that packet of beads. Additionally, these guys right here, these faceted beads, if you can see those, in the instructions, I have them listed as 3 millimeters. These are more of a 4 millimeter size to me. The 3 millimeter is what was listed on the website as part of the size on the strand of beads that it came on. But I'm going to recommend in this live class that this is a 4 millimeter. A 3 millimeter will fit in here, but the 4 kind of gives it just that perfect amount of circular spacing that you need. If you only have 3 millimeter beads, totally will work. I'm working with the 4 millimeter today. Now, you might wonder, why on earth am I using wire to do this project rather than, say, for example, WildFire thread? For a couple of different reasons. First of all, I like mixing it up. I like using wire for projects as I am able to. Again, we're Beadalon. We make the wire. We like using the wire in our projects. And I really like, let me see if I can get a really nice tight shot of this, how that wire becomes a part of this design. If I were using WildFire for it, it wouldn't have quite the structure and quite the presence that it would using the wire. You can definitely do this project and do this technique with WildFire, but again, we make choices, right? There are choices and trade-offs for any of the materials that we decide to use for our project. And for me, I chose to use the beading wire. Now I'm using the 0.08018 wire because that diameter, fingers crossed, is going to fit through my beads more than once. Because as we start this process, you'll see that it is very similar to the technique that we use to do the X's and O's bracelet, with some variations. And that's why I love it. I love being able to take a technique that I've already taught, that we've already learned, and tweaking it and building on it and taking it to the next level. What else did I want to say about this? I can't remember now. Oh, so and much like in this bracelet, we're going to be going through our beads a couple of times. And that's why that 0.018 wire is going to be the perfect diameter. Now, for those of you who aren't quite sure what I'm talking about with the 7 strand, 0.018, all of these different numbers, I definitely recommend going back and watching on the Michael's YouTube channel, of course, after class today, the video called 5 Things You Should Never Do When Making Beaded Jewelry. And that goes over soup to nuts, top to bottom, everything that you could possibly want and or need to know about bead stringing wire and why you use a specific diameter in any given or specific strand length at any given time. So back over here, I'm just going to pull this back just so that you can see I have a measuring device. It's just a little bit of measuring tape, and I'm going to measure out with my wire 2 feet and then 3 feet total. And a very good comment came through in the comments saying that this would be a great Christmas wreath. What a great idea. See, that's why it's so wonderful to have our beading community, because I am always getting great ideas from you guys, and hopefully you're getting some good ideas from me also. And the great thing about this wire or any color choice is that you can always substitute it out, right? So if you don't have satin gold wire, if you have a different color, if you have satin silver, if you have bright, if you have silver gold, if you have any other colors, play around with it. I mean, and the fun thing is that a color that is pleasing to one person's eye might have a different pleasingness to another person's eye, right? So color is so subjective. And as much as you want to play around with a color wheel and figure out, dynamic colors and contrasting colors and complementary colors and all those different kinds of things, at the end of the day, it's what looks nice to you. Okay, so I have cut my 3-foot piece of beading wire, and I have my beads laid out here. I have one in a little cup. I was just telling you about this morning that as much beading storage as I have, and as many places as I have my beads stored, I never seem to have enough. I'm always running out of little things to put stuff in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by stringing 1 4mm wire into the center of my wires. And I'm just going to kind of get everything organized here. I have my 8mm beads here, my 6mm beads here, and my 4mm beads here. And these are the rounds. So I'm going to take 1 4mm bead, and I am going to string it on to the middle of the wires. And let me see if it had everything all wonderfully organized, but then what ends up happening is it gets a little jumbled on the screen. So let me just move some of this stuff out of the way so we can have a little bit of a better view. That's a little bit better, not quite so jumbled. So I have my 4mm bead, and I'm going to move that down to the center of my doubled bead. Now, onto one of the wires, I'm going to string a 6mm bead, and on the other wire, I'm going to string an 8mm bead. So you can see here, I have a little bit of a different mix of colors here because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the blue beads. And I didn't want, I just couldn't cut a bracelet that I had already made apart. So I brought in some other 6mm beads. So we're gonna do a little substituting here of the colors. We're gonna do every other one in this kind of clear with the brown. I think the colors are gonna work. So on one side, I have 1 6mm bead. And on the other side, I'm gonna put an 8mm bead. And then I'm going to add one more of these little teeny tiny 4mm bead friends. And one of the things that I love about the Michaels beads, and especially the Michaels gemstones, is they have really nice large holes. And so it makes it very easy for that 0.018 wire to go back through twice. So that's what I'm going to do with that 4mm bead that I just added. I'm going to come back through the other way. So one wire is coming out one way and one wire is coming out the other way. And then I'm going to gently tighten everything up. So let's see here if I can get everything. And it just has to be kind of generally in the middle. If it's not 100% totally in the middle, it's not going to be the end of the world, but you generally want it to be in the middle. So that's a little bubbly, a little wonky, a little fun, right? Now we're going to repeat the process. We're going to add on to the side that has the 8mm bead. We're going to add an 8mm bead. And on the side that has the 6mm bead, I'm going to add a 6mm bead. And like I said, I'm going to kind of choose one that has a little bit of brown in it just to keep the theme and the look of the gold beads. But you know, sometimes you run out of beads and sometimes you have to substitute, but I think that this is going to be just fine. All right, so I have my extra 6mm bead here on the 6mm side, an 8mm bead on the 8mm side, and I'm going to do that same thing in the middle. I'm going to put on one 4mm bead, and I'm going to pass the wire back through the 4mm bead, and then I'm going to cinch everything up. So you want to make sure that 6mm beads go on the 6mm bead side, 8mm beads go on the 8mm bead side. And how many times can I say millimeter for our class today? Let's find out. And how many times can I flub it? All right, so 6mm on the 6mm side, 8mm on the 8mm side, and a 4 in the middle, and wires crossed together. So I'm going to continue to do this until I have 11 sets. Okay, so like I mentioned in the beginning, it doesn't take that many beads to get a really dramatic effect. So beads left over from another project, beads starting a project. Again, I can probably off of the floor of my studio come up with 11 different beads that are the same size. So it's really up to you. I think that it would be really fun to do this as a rainbow, to do this as an ombre. So kind of starting at a dark, maybe like a dark blue and going all the way around to a light blue would be really pretty. Like someone had mentioned in the comment earlier, it would be amazing with colors for a Christmas wreath. And then you could adorn it with a bow. You could adorn it with a little bird charm. Oh my gosh, the sky is really the limit for this project. And if you do make it, please post it on your socials, tag Beadalon, tag Make It with Michaels. Because again, there's just, I just love seeing what people make. It brings me so much joy. All right, so I'm going to continue going all the way around. I've got one 6mm bead on the 6mm side and an 8mm bead on the 8mm side. And if you mess up, if you're not paying quite the best attention, attention that you could, and you put an 8mm bead on the wrong side, just very gently back your wire out and put it on the right side. It won't make the right circle if you don't have the beads in the right place. So I already have a smile here. So there are maybe I just want to smile. You know, there are lots of different things that you can do with this 2-needle right angle weave, which is what we're doing. We're doing a 2-needle right angle weave. By varying the sizes of your beads. You could also, I know I'm gonna take it to the next level because I've got some time to mention some options while I'm finishing this part up. You could also use rondelles. Of course, if you can see there we go. If you can see the holes of the beads. You could do this with rondelles all the way around. You just need to, sometimes you just kind of need to play around with bead counts, with sizes, with ratios. Again, if it's pleasing to your eye, then it is probably going to be pleasing to somebody else's eye as well. Let's see, I think a very interesting question just came in. If you use stretch cord for a bracelet, would this bead design work when adjusted for length? So I don't know if you would necessarily need to adjust it for length if you were using stretch cord. I think that you would just have to be careful when you are doing the weave that you don't stretch the stretch cord as you're doing it. So the tendency here is to pull this tight. Sometimes when you're using stretch cord, if you pull it too tight, it can break. But also you want to make sure that you don't overstretch it so that when you indeed finish it and then need to stretch it to put it on, that it's not stretched out. I hope that that makes sense. I'm always interested to try things with stretch cord, but there are definitely limitations to what you can do with it. What I might suggest if you wanted to do a bracelet like this with stretch cord, like if you wanted to do an actual bracelet like this with stretch cord, is to do the part of it that you would make stretchy. I'm sorry, to do it with the wire to begin with, and then add a little stretchy part at the end. So either add it by knotting it on, or somehow adding it after you've done your woven part. That was a lot of words and probably a little bit more confusing than it needed to be, and also a great idea for an upcoming class. So thank you to whoever suggested that. All right, so I've completely lost count. So let's see what's going on here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now I'm on my last one. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Okay. So I'm on my last one, and I just want to make sure that everything is nice and not too tight, not too loose. It's kind of that tension that you want that's right in between. You don't want it to be so tight that it's buckling, or that it's not looking the way that you want it to be. But see how I do have a couple of little wonky things over here. That will all come together in the next 2 steps. So if you have it, if it's a little bit, I'm just trying to show everybody, if it's a little bit wrinkly, not to worry, because it'll all come together in the next 2 steps. Okay, so I have done 10, and I'm on my 11th round of adding things. So instead of adding 1, 6, 1, 8, and 1, 4 in the middle, I'm going to add a 6 on one side, the same side as I was doing it before, an 8 on one side, same side that I was doing it before. But instead of adding another 4mm bead, we're going to take this real close. So when camera gets wobbly, but I want to get real close so that everybody can see what's going on. I'm going to take this wire up through that very first 4mm that I strung on to complete the circle. Okay, so just like that to complete the circle. And then this one is going to come back down this way. And what I am going to need to do so that I can see this is bop this up and bring it back up toward my head. And fingers crossed that this wire is going to go through. What I could have done to double check before I started my whole project is threaded 4 wires through that initial bead, just to be on the safe side. It's always better to be on the safe side, right? If for whatever reason my wire would not fit through this bead, you can always use a bead reamer to open that up just a little bit. And a bead reamer is a little round file. It's kind of, there we go, a little round file. And all you need to do is put it in and rub it around a little bit, and open up that hole until those 4 wires will fit through. But the beading gods are with me today, so my 4th wire is fitting through. Now, do I need to make this difficult on myself? No. All I need to do is bring my pliers in here and just pull it through. Okay. And this is where I like to just double check and make sure that all of my 6 millimeters are on the inside, my 8 millimeters are on the outside, my 4 millimeters are in between, just to make sure I haven't made any mistakes. I haven't gotten distracted, haven't looked at a text message or pet the dog. Well, I did pet the dog, but that is inevitable. Okay, so now here we are. We've got one wire going straight up and 1 wire going straight down. And now I am done with my 8 millimeter beads, and I'm done with my 6 millimeter beads. And I think I'm actually done with my 4 millimeter beads too. So what I'm going to pull in now are my rondelles. These are 4 millimeter rondelles. You can use 3 as well. But I think just for the spacing, I think the 4s are a little bit better. And then I also have some of my size 11 seed beads here. And again, if gold is not your bag, you can put in any color that you want here. So it doesn't matter if you do the bottom first or you do the top first. I generally get very excited about adding sparkly beads, so we're going to do the top first. So here I have my wire that's coming up from the top, and I'm going to go through the first bead to its left. I could go to the right too, clockwise, counterclockwise, doesn't matter. So now what I'm going to do is add that 4 millimeter rondelle. This could be a round. This could be a bunch of seed beads. This could be a super duo. What? There are so many places that you can go with this. Gosh, I can't even, I mean, the sky is really the limit. As long as it fits in the space, you could do a size 8 seed bead. You could do a cube bead. You could do, so many different things. You could go up and around and do a picot. You could do lots and lots of different options. But for this project, we are just adding 1 bead and going straight through. We're going to keep it a little simpler as we are learning. Okay, so I'm adding this. And what I also love is how fast this guy works up, right? So just 11 beads of each size, so 44 beads total, not that many beads in the grand scheme of things, and probably about 20 minutes when all is said and done. And that's with, stopping to talk. Now here I'm getting a little jacked up on this bead here. So I'm just going to pull my wire through with my tools. I just want to make sure that the wire is going where I want it to be. And of course I wasn't even paying such close attention, so I skipped one. So let me back this out. And all I'm doing is I'm going around the circle, and I'm adding a bead in between each of the size 8 millimeter beads. So let me do that a little bit slower so you can really see what I am doing. So I'm adding a 4mm rondelle that's coming out of my 8mm bead. And now I'm going through this next one. So I'm coming out of the first one and I'm going through the next one. So each of those 8mm beads gets a 4mm rondelle friend in between it. Okay, so I'm coming out of that 8mm beads, 8mm bead, and adding my 4mm rondelle, and this pesky wire keeps getting in my way. Let's get him out of the way. So I'm coming out of this 8mm bead, filling in the space, and going right through that next 8mm bead. Okay. And it looks like I've got a couple more. So once again, adding a 4mm round, coming out of here, going through this next one. I find this part to be so satisfying because like how I mentioned in the very beginning, or not in the very beginning, a couple steps ago, after that first round, when we're adding the beads and creating that two needle right angle weave, it can get a little wonky. And this really works to smooth it out. And any residual wonkiness will be taken care of when we do the next round around. So last time around, I'm adding my last bead in that little space right there, right? There's no added 4mm rondelle here. So I'm going to add the last one. I come through here and just get that through. And you can see already how nice and smooth that top part is. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom. So just in the same way that we added those 4mm rondelles on the top, I'm going to go on the bottom and add these little teeny tiny size 11s. And do we need to add the size 11s? I'm going to go with yes. I mean, you don't necessarily need to, but it's going to make the whole design look a lot nicer and a lot more balanced because we have the gold on the top and then we'll have the gold on the bottom as well. So once again, my wire is coming down from that 4mm bead, right? It's the last one we crossed through on that initial time that we brought everything around. But before I can add any more beads, I need to go through this one right to its right. I'm sorry, right to its left. You can go the other way as well, does not matter. I tend to bead counterclockwise. That's something interesting I'm going to pay a little bit better attention to going forward. And I don't think that there's any consistency to that either. So now I'm picking up one of those little size 11 seed beans. And I'm going to go through, right, because I'm filling in this space right here. I'm going to go through the next 6mm bead in the circle. And sometimes it can get a little fiddly to find where that wire is going to come out. So I'm just going to kind of play around with it, just slowly coax it through. If I need to get my pliers in there, I'm going to have to do that in one or two. And I'm going to pull it tight. And I don't know if you heard that little snap, but it kind of snapped everything into place. I'm going to continue doing that now all the way across, or around, I should say. All right, pick up one size 11, and I'm going to need to fill in that space. And this can get, I mean, we're in a little bit of a tight space here, but just slow and steady and just kind of watch where that wire is going and pull it through. And let me see if I can let you hear that little pop where it pops right into place. And these little 11s, they're small, but they're mighty, because what they are going to do is they are going to kind of show this design who's boss and make sure that everything lines up in the final analysis. All right, so let me see if I can and get that pop again. Oh, that one was a little less satisfying. It just kind of went right in there. But they're good little beads. They know where they need to go. And if you, for some reason, forget, or your bead slips off, or for whatever reason, just again, very carefully, you have to back that wire out. Sometimes pliers are our best friends for that. Let's say this is going to be a good one. And then just make sure that you're adding one bead in between each of the beads. And you can really see how this pendant is starting to take form. I think that the next time I do this design, I am going to do it as a rainbow. And then the time after that I did this design, I'm going to do it ombre. I think that will be really, really pretty. Just starting from dark to light or light to dark, either way, it's going to look the same in the final analysis. I think that that's a really, really pretty color variation. But when I saw these Jasper beads, hold on, let me tell you exactly what they're called. Impression Jasper stone bead gemstones. I knew that I was going to really enjoy playing around with them. They're very, very pretty. And again, I can't say it enough. Those Michael's beads have such great holes that you can use the wire to get a nice, sturdy, really durable design, and then be able to also go back through your beads several different times. Oops. Bead went flying. And let's see, what else do I have to say about this? Again, a very versatile stitch, this 2-needle right angle weave. And you can see I'm calling it a 2-needle right angle weave. I don't even have any needles here. And let me see. So there's a question asking how big is this pendant? And it is actually exactly 2 inches in diameter. So you could, I suppose, use different, smaller or bigger sized beads. There's no supposing about it. You could, period, use different size beads, and that will vary the different size of your pendant. Now, this last one is always a little challenging, right? You can see I'm having a little challenge getting it through because that size 11 seed bead is in the way now. So I'm just going to kind of be patient and see how I might be able to coax this wire through so that I can grab it on the other side. So it might take me a moment or two. I might want to go back through that size 11 seed bead too. I might need stronger glasses. Oh, there we go. Okay, so see, it did take me a moment, right? But it worked. And now I'm not taking any chances. I'm coming through here and I'm just grabbing that. Of course, I'm banging my camera with my pliers, and I'm going to do that one last bopping into place. Yay! And I'm actually really digging how this bead right here has that kind of funky brown spot in it. I don't know. I really like that. It's cool. You can spin it around to have it be wherever you want it to be. All right. Well, we're not done yet, right? So we have this, but now we have a wire down here and a wire up here. So a couple of different ways of finishing this off. The easiest one, honestly, I'm going to come and I'm going to take the wire that's on the bottom and I'm going to thread it through that 4mm bead. And again, it might take a little coaxing, might take a little cajoling, a little begging, a little please work. And if not, maybe we'll try it a different way, but let me see if I can get in there. All right, that way is not working for me for whatever reason. So I'm going to try it from the top down and see if I can get it to come through like that. And if not, we will figure out a different solution, right? Because as beaders, we are nothing if not very clever at figuring out how to finish things off. So let's just see here. And that's also a very, another interesting observation is that sometimes bead holes can be differently drilled, right? So this one originally had 2 wires going through it. That first wire, or that first bead that became the last bead, had 4 wires going through it, right? This one, I can't get those other wires through. Again, could have tried it out beforehand, no problem. Claudie, it's actually not, I think I moved it over one from where it actually, yeah, doesn't matter. But what I can do, and because the beading wire is what it is, you can actually knot it, right? So if I can't get it back through these beads, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to tie it in a knot like I would beading thread, right? And get that nice and tight in here, and maybe do it twice. Each of the beads has 4 wires going through it, and that last bead needs to accommodate one more wire, a 6th wire through, or I'm sorry, a 5th wire through, and it didn't work. So that's okay. We're just gonna come to a different way of doing it. We're just gonna tie it in a knot. And because it's wire, we can knot it. Usually I do like crimping my wire, but in this case, I don't need to. I just don't need to. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to snip that tight. And I'm going to snip this tight. Now, we have our pendant, and there are a couple of different ways now. There are lots of different ways of attaching our pendant to our necklace. And I am so glad that we have the time to be able to show how to make this kind of a pendant. Okay, so if weaving with seed beads scares you, please don't let it. We're going to take it to the next level right now, and we are going to make this pendant very quickly. If you didn't want to do it that way, what I would do is I would take a pinch bail pendant and open it up, come in here over one of those 4mm beads and pinch it back down and call it a day, right? Super easy. So easy. And then I would just use this to make my necklace. But because I like to go extra, and it sounds like you guys like to go extra also, let's just go ahead and have some fun for the last 15 or so minutes of class. What we need, and the instructions for this are included in the handout for class. What we're making is a distorted square bail. Okay, so if you wanted to follow up with that and learn a little bit more about it, that is what you would Google. I am pulling out a wingspan. I do say 4 feet in the instructions, and a wingspan is way more than you need. Actually, a wingspan is way more than you need. Let me do a half wingspan. 4 feet is a great way to start. But as you know me, you know that I am one for wingspans of beads. All right, or of wire. So I'm flattening the end of my WildFire with my pliers, and I'm threading it on to a needle. I'm going to go through this a little faster just because I want to be able to show it. And this is actually probably a class in and of itself, if I'm being fair. But I do want to just give everybody the option of the fun bail, because I think it really does make a difference when you hang it from your beaded necklace, whether or not you have a fantastic bail or you have a pinch bail, which is also fantastic. And the instructions for this are also, they're on page 2 of the handout. And again, it is called the distorted square bail, and it is a bonus. So for this, you are going to need 2 different kinds of beads. You're going to need Delicas, which are the cylinder beads. They're size 11. it might be a little hard to see against the gray. Delicas are a size 11, but whereas normal size 11 seed beads are round, the Delicas are squares, which makes them line up in a very, very fun and orderly way. So you can see here, the Delicas, these gray beads, are the ridding of this veil, and the gold beads go in between. And it's almost a magical process, because it doesn't become the distorted veil for a little while. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to string on 4 Delicas. And again, Delicas are cylinder beads. They're great for doing looming work, but also great for this kind of a pattern as well. So you want to leave about a 4 inch tail. We'll say 4 inch tail, and then pass back through all 4 of those Delicas again to make a circle, or you can drop your needle. Let's try that again. Pass back through all 4 of those Delicas to make a circle. Okay, and it's not actually going to make a circle until you kind of force it to. Now, if you are me, you can tie a knot. If you're Danielle Wicks, who I'm going to channel right now, I'm not going to tie a knot. I'm going to go back through those first 2 beads again, and now I have my circle. And I know it's hard for both me and you to see, but basically I just made a little circle of 4 beads. Let's try a focused circle of 4 beads. There we go. And I am using the black WildFire thread so that we can all really, really see what's going on, but you might choose to use white or even the green to have a little bit more of a blending in of the beads. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 of those Delicas, and what this distorted square is actually a combination of 2 different bead stitches. So this, I'm really not happy with how this is focusing, but I think we're going to work up through it. So I picked up 2 beads, and I'm going to go down through the next bead in that circle. Okay. And then you just want to zhuzh those beads a little bit so that they are stacked in a V. Sometimes you have to coax them, but see how I got those to be stacked in a V? Just like that. A little blurry. There we go. All right. So once again, 2 beads, pick up 2 beads and go through the next bead. So my thread is coming out of one bead and going down through the next one. And coax them around, coax them back through. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is not the easiest bead weaving technique, A, to demonstrate, or B, to do. It took me a good long time to kind of get this so that it made sense for me. So if at first you don't succeed, I definitely recommend sticking with it, because once you get it, you get it. But sometimes it takes a little while to get it. Okay, so now my wire or my thread is coming out of this bead, and I want to go back down through the next one. And I want to make sure that I don't go back through the next 2. I want to just go back down through that next one. Okay, the first round is always the hardest, and it's always the fiddliest, and it's always the one where you want to kind of throw this out the window. And I have thrown my beading work across the room before. That is definitely something that has happened. Okay, so now I'm at the last one. I really want you guys to be able to see this. Okay, so I picked up 2 beads, and I'm going to come through that last bead, and I'm also going to go back through the first bead that I added in this round, which is also the first bead in that stack. So again, if you, if this is something that you're like, ooh, I love this and want to do it more, the best way for me actually to teach this is with much larger beads. And it's a class that I would love to do in more depth for Michaels in the future. But I didn't want to show it in the picture and not kind of show how I arrived at that. That wouldn't have been very nice, would it have? Okay, so now this is the herringbone part. Okay, so I had mentioned that we're combining two stitches. We're combining a herringbone stitch with a peyote stitch. Okay, so we're still on the herringbone part, which is always you pick up 2 beads whenever you're doing a herringbone. And I'm going to go back down through the next stack. Gray was really the wrong choice of color, Meredith. Up through here, or I'm sorry, my thread is coming out from that bead, and I'm going to go back down the next one in the stack. Okay. But now it's time for me to start the peyote portion of my distorted bail. And for that portion, I'm going to pick up a size 11 gold seed bead. So no Delicas on the side, Delicas go on the spine. And I'm going to go up through the herringbone on the next spine. So again, like I mentioned, I'll be very clear. This is a whole class in and of itself that I like to break down by showing it with much bigger beads and much more detail than the 15 minutes than we are allowed for this project. This part of this project, but I didn't want to leave anybody hanging if they were really curious about how that cool bail happened. But keep your eyes peeled for a future Michael's class, really breaking down these distorted bails, because I think that they just make your beaded jewelry that much more special. All right, so here I am on my herringbone part. I'm coming out of that top bead. I'm going back down the spine. And once you get the first 3 rows done and we're finishing up on the 3rd row, it does become a little easier. I know it doesn't look like it. Everyone's like, Meredith, you are crazy. But it really does. And it just, this stuff just takes a little bit of practice and a whole lot of patience. So I'm up here and I'm down here, and we are at almost at the part that gave me the biggest challenge in my entire beading career. And that is something called the step up. And it's something that gave me the biggest amount of trouble. And so I'm going to show you why. In this round, I added these 2 beads this time around, right? And I added these 2 beads in the previous round. And so all the way around this round, I've been adding beads to the previous round. So I have to continue to do that. I have to still go go up through that bead that I added in the previous round. However, there's another bead here too, which I just added in this round. So I have to remember, and this is the thing that I could never remember before, I have to remember to go through the first bead, right? And then also the second bead. And also remember to add the bead beforehand. I'm sure some people out there are like, well, of course, Meredith, duh. But it was just, I could not wrap my head around it at all. It was just just couldn't get it. And so I finally got it. You just have to think of everything as a round and as replacing the needle where it needs to go. And it is very easy to become lost in this, right? It's very easy to become lost because I'm going a little bit faster than I normally would. And when I do generally teach this, I do tend to teach it with much larger beads, so it's a lot easier to see. But again, I just wanted to go through and show everybody what is involved in making that really, really fun distorted bear. Okay, so I just added 2 more beads and I'm coming down. And now I'm on that peyote stitch again. So I have my gold bead right here. I'm going to add another gold bead before it. I'm going to go through that bead. And then I'm going to add another gold bead after it. And once I got it into my head that bead weaving like this is really almost like sewing, right? We call it stitching. It's just about how many beads you add and which is the next bead that you go through. So once you know that each time on the herringbone spines, you add 2 beads, and each time on the peyote stitch in betweens, you add a size 11 bead, and also you practice and practice and practice. Then it starts becoming a little more intuitive. But again, this is kind of a hashtag goals, next level type of beading experience. Maybe a little tease for some things that are coming up or coming down the line for classes that you are able to take from Michaels. All right, so I'm going to finish out this row, and then I'm going to show what I mean by distorted square, and then we are going to call it a day. All right, so I'm on my last part now, right? So you can see there are 3 beads on the top, 3 beads to the left, 3 beads on the bottom, but only 1 bead on the right. So I need to add my 2 peyote beads. So 1 gold bead through the gold bead. And once again, we are at that last part of the row, right? So I'm finishing off this row. And what I need to do is not go through the top bead here. How about let's get in frame, Meredith, so people can see what's going on. I'm not going through the top bead here. I'm going through the bead from the previous round so that I can complete my square. I'm going to say complete my circle, but I'm going to complete my square. So that is the step up. Okay. And after this row, this is where, so here we have something that looks kind of like a square, but if you fold it in half, it starts looking like that veil, right? So after you fold it in half and you continue to add rounds and continue to add rounds and continue to add rounds, then it starts building up, and you can do this as big as you want. If you have something that's just a little teeny tiny, you could just use this little guy who's here on the left that I'm working on, right, as your bail. But after you do that, you join them in the middle and then just create a regular beaded necklace piece to hang your pendant from. But again, super, super simple. If all that crazy old bead weaving is not your bag, you have the opportunity to just add a bail right there and then add your beaded necklace like you would any other piece of jewelry. So that is my class for today. We got a little extra special bonus there on the end, just to show how we did the bail. And you can see here too, using this is a really, really nice contrast with the red beads and then the silver beads. You can really see how, and of course I haven't even finished this one off. I have some threads coming out from here, but you can see what a difference that makes to have that really fun, funky bail. Oh my goodness. Whenever I teach seed beads, it's always exhausting. I don't know about you guys, but I need a nap now. Let's see, what do I have for our announcements at the end? Of course, we have our Beadalon classes at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays with Sarah Lovecrafts. My classes, and sometimes Sarah's, on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely be sure to check the new and improved Michael's class website. I don't know if anybody's been over there yet, but they kind of did a little bit of a rehaul. It looks really, really nice. Make sure that you do if you do make this, whether you do the fancy veil or not, post it on your socials. Use hashtag Beadalon, hashtag Make It With Michaels, and Michael's Classroom. I think it's Michael's Classroom, as the hashtags. You can always find me on my Instagram account at Meredith Joy Designs. If I could get this clasp done, I could put my original necklace back on. That's what happens after an hour of intense beading. You can't even get a necklace back on. And this video will be available in 24 to 48 hours for the replay. And if anybody wants to reach out to me through Instagram, you can just direct message me at Meredith Joy Designs, and I'll be more than happy to point you in a couple of places for learning more about bead weaving, more about doing that. Distorted square, top to bottom, start to finish. That's what I'm looking for, start to finish. But also, teaser, look for that class coming up in the new year as well, because I think it's a really fun one. It's very versatile, and you can even use those just by themselves, not even as veils, in all different really, really fun ways. So thanks everybody for hanging out with me for this past hour and learning so much. You've been a great group. I've really appreciated all of your comments in the chat. And until next time, happy beading.